Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Heather. I thought about doing a quick recording to go over my recommendations to lose 3% body fat from 19 to 16 because it gets pretty complicated, even though we don't want to make things too complicated. We are talking about a complicated machine. So just wanted to go and collect my thoughts and give you some images and so you guys can go over it, and then we can have a phone conversation or a video conference maybe tomorrow, Sunday. So 5-minute discussion. At the end of it, let me know if you have any questions. We can go over the finer details, but I think I'll be able to share the relevant information that you need, Heather. So, by the way, this is a presentation I gave in French not too long ago, but I think I've recycled it. I think it makes sense to share the same presentation. I've actually made some tweaks, but I think it's going to be pretty relevant to what you're trying to do there, Heather. So really 5 aspects of what you want to obtain in a month. So 3% body fat. Let's say you are 130 pounds. I'm not sure what your weight is. That means 4 pounds or so of body fat, and this is indeed really attainable within a month. If you're talking about 10 pounds of fat, that would be stretching it. But a pound of fat per week is certainly doable, and it's doable without causing you bad symptoms or affecting your energy vitality. So now, depending on your body type, genetics, and I understand from Bonnie that you are pretty active, you know your stuff, so your body might be in a good position to lose that fat and not really give you some bad side effects. So around 16% body fat for women, this is where some start to get weird hormonal changes, various symptoms from headaches to, bad night sleeps or whatever. I wouldn't personally go lower than 16%. Depending what your goals is whether this is a competition or just for a personal endeavor. But 16% would be the limit, in that you're being fit, but you're not being fit at the expense of energy, vitality, patience, cognitive functions, and so on and so forth. So depending what your actual parameter you're trying to achieve, whether it's a visual thing or whether it's to fit in a dress or whether it's specific performance issues, the body fat percentage might not tell you a whole lot. So just to say that if you end up at the end of the month and you're 17%, but you look awesome and you're performing well, then 17% doesn't really matter, whether it's 17, 16, 10,000 or whatever. So, but anyways, it's interesting objective. And it's certainly doable within 1 month. So this is in French, but I'll be talking in English here. So first thing you need to consider, obviously, is your energy, your first source of energy, which is carbohydrates. You need to manage your insulin and carbohydrates. I'll mention what that is exactly. Detoxification. This is a big one because being toxic makes you fat. And there's arsenic, there's lead, there's aluminum, there's mercury, there's plastic BPAs, there's a ton of stressors around us. And we are indeed toxic because we can't really avoid all those toxic components around us. So detoxification is a big thing, not only for fat loss, but certainly for long-term health, being mentally healthy, happy, being functional, being someone that can think, synthesize information, so on and so forth. It is interestingly linked with how much you're able to detoxify. Managing stress and sleep. This is a big one because people get fat just by being stressed out. That's a big one for sure. And if you follow the perfect plan, but you're stressed out, you're not sleeping well, then you won't get improvement. Certainly not from 19 to 16%. Build muscle. Perhaps not really telling you something you don't know, but I would spend 90% of my time in the gym at building muscle, using compound movements and really stressing muscle failures on most of the sets. We'll be talking about that later on. And consistency, obviously. So over the next month, I'm sure you can maintain consistency, but this is a big one. It's not so much to do. It's not so much about doing things magical over one day. It's just doing small things day in and day out. So what does that mean for nutrition? Well, that's an image, and I think it resumes it pretty well. We need to stay away from a large source of carbohydrates, fructose, or any even high sugar fruits. Obviously, any wheat, barley, rye, pasta, breads, even potatoes or rice. I would cut that down to minimum, and really stick by what you're seeing in the image right now, which is healthy fats. Healthy source of protein, fish, meats, whatever. If you can go organic and wild caught fish, that's even better, obviously. Healthy fats, you just dive in there. Don't worry about healthy fats making you fat. They're actually doing the reverse. And then lots of vegetables, maybe small fruits, but I would stick to vegetables 90% of the time. And as far as the big fruits, you could actually use these post-workout. When you're training, you actually need to actually fill up on high glycemic index sugars, which so high glycemic index fruits like pineapple, pear would be good options there. Kiwi is another good one. You want to stay away from, as I mentioned there, so refined sugars, artificial sweeteners, milk products, and cereal grains. These are the killers. As far as supplements, so if we're talking about isogenics, what I would use is the IsoPro formula as far as your protein intake. Don't go with the isolene or meal replacement. This is not something to support a really aggressive fat loss. This is to be healthy for, as we say in French, Monsieur, Madame, tout le monde, everyday people. But if you're really looking to make a stretch, make a big impact as far as body composition is concerned, you really have to go with a concentrated formula, protein formula, which doesn't contain any fats or carbohydrates. Greens, I like to mention these are fruits because usually in our daily nutritional scheme, we don't get too much of it. Now, if you're eating greens like crazy, vegetables, don't worry about it, but I like to add these into my shakes. For sure, multivitamins, I'm big on multivitamins being my sort of a insurance policy, making sure I don't lose sight of important micronutrients, selenium, chromium, whatever it's vitamin D, omega-3s. They are all required to make you healthy and to support a healthy metabolism. And then the other thing I would probably use in your plan is a AMP Recover formula, which is basically aimed at making sure you maintain muscle mass as you're going through this deficit, caloric deficit. Now, remember, the body will want to consume muscle fibers as you're getting leaner and leaner. Now, if you're at 16% by all standards, your body doesn't really want to stay there for too long and will be looking to burn off extra muscles to kind of maintain balance, energy balance, and try to give you or try to keep you alive longer. Remember, muscle costs a lot energy-wise, and your body's trying to actually minimize energy expenditure. So keep a BCAA formula, which is our AMP Recover, and there's tons more ingredients in there to support reduction of inflammation and recovery as well. So this is a shake recipe that I use. So instead of actually using the meal replacement, I'm actually creating my own with the IsoPro formula, which is undenatured protein from New Zealand, untreated cow. They are actually cows that are not traumatized in the manufacturers. So they are actual healthy animals that produce healthy milks, that produce healthy protein. So mix that up with cocoa powder. You see the recipe there. This is a good one. This is basically healthy fat, fibers, and protein. I like to start my days with that, minimize the amount of carbs I get, especially early on in my day, to kind of manage insulin. If you manage insulin early in your day, you tap onto your secondary energy reserve, which is your fat. You burn that off, and you keep you sort of balance your energy throughout the day. You don't go through ups and downs. peaks and valleys. You can actually use two of those a day. Actually, sometimes I'll use three. If I'm really lazy to make food, I'll have some of those fat bomb smoothies over lunch or even supper. This is just a slide, and you know this obviously, but we are composed of an energy reserve on our body, which is 95% comprised of our fat reserves, and only 5% really comes from carbohydrates. So what you're trying to do here with the strategy, lose fat, you're trying to tap in this amazing energy reserves. And some of us, it might be 90%, you know, the lady who's 500 pounds, it might be 98%, but we're all heavily mostly comprised of, as far as energy is concerned, mostly comprised of lipids, okay, all over our body, externally, but internally as well. So tap in that energy reserve. You need to completely cut or almost cut all amount of carbohydrates that gets into your body, because you don't want insulin. As soon as you get insulin, you block off your body's ability to burn off fat as a source of fuel. So as I said, I mean, your carbs should only come from vegetables, and they are minimal in vegetables and small fruits. And the added bonus, obviously, is that carbs, when you burn off carbs in your cell, you create lots of pollution. So you oxidize your body, you basically age a lot faster. As far as fat, they are like renewable energies. They don't make you age. They are endless source of energy, and they keep you young, which is a really added benefit. Especially, I'm 37. I'm seriously thinking about these things these days. Okay, so you know the gut affects every part of the body. Have a probiotic formula in your protocol, whether it's kombucha or kefir. Kefir I would use post-workout, which is a kind of a sweetened yogurt, fermented yogurt. It gives you those nice probiotic. Kombucha is a fermented tea, and again, it gives you the bubbly kind of drink that so many people are really after. If not that, then you can take some probiotics. You guys in the United States have the Fiber Pro formula with Isogenics, which gives you the pre and probiotics, a nice source of it, which you can actually add to your shakes. Cleansing. So yes, Bonnie, I would definitely recommend cleansing one time a week, which is 24 hours there. You can have, obviously, the formulas. You can make your own recipe, but we have the Cleanse for Life, which is an easy to drink formula, which really scrubs off all the crap in your tubing, your body. Helps your cell absorb a lot better the vital quality nutrients you're giving it. But in the process, by removing toxins, you are burning away extra fat in your body, because the body has a tendency, obviously, to build up fat reserves around toxin to kind of remove those toxins away from the bloodstream. So this is a great formula, not only for fat loss, but certainly for vitality, energy, stamina. If you have too much toxin, believe me, you won't be functioning optimally speaking, as far as your neurotransmitters, your outlook on life, your energy, your concentration, so on and so forth. So these are all things that are vital as you're losing weight. You don't want to be pissed off and depressed and trying to lose 5 pounds in the next month. So just to say here, you're trying to get away, rid the body of plastic, pollution, pollutant, heavy metals, and pesticide, insecticides. Okay, stress and sleep. So that's a big one. Depending if your sleep pattern right now is optimal, if you sleep well, 8 hours a night or so, and you sleep deep, then you don't need any sleep support formulas. Same thing with stress. If your stress level is manageable, if you're not, going crazy if someone cuts off you in traffic, then the formula there on the left is perhaps not something you want to consider. If these are things that you know you can improve, and most of us can, certainly me, I take the Ionic Supreme formula, which is our botanical adaptogen formula. I take it in a powder form, and I use it in my shakes. I think it gives a good taste, and it gives me that extra boost of energy and this added capability to deal with stressors, and that's a big one for fat loss. The sleep support, as I mentioned, if you're looking to optimize sleep, you can have our sleep support renewal formula. You can take that 15 minutes or so before bedtime, 3 to 5 spray. This is a great formula, again, if you're having a hard time falling asleep or keeping or staying in that deep sleep um, um, cycle. So people that kind of wake up to 3-4 times a night will benefit from that as well. And then the multivitamins, as I mentioned, there are lots of compounds in there that helps to boost the natural ability of the body to rest and digest and then go into a deep sleep mode. So this is also to consider. Build muscle. So the next month I would focus in on muscle building at least 4 to 5 times a week, 30 to 40 minutes. It's not so much the duration, but it's the ability to go into an adaptation phase. So go to muscle failure and even beyond. Now, muscle failure, what does that mean? You can no longer make any more reps, and you can actually apply some intensity techniques to go past failures, right? So you think you're failed, well, you can fail 3, 4, 5 more times and actually not even failed yet. So depending how far you want to push this, I think the message here is to try to build lean muscle. What it does, it stimulates myokines, which really reduce inflammation. Inflammation in itself, when you're taking your fat percentage, the caliper doesn't make a difference between an actual fat cell and water retention, right? So you might have 2% body fat on that measurement. That's all attributable to inflammation, water retention. So as you're doing the healthy nutrition, the sleep, the managing stress, and then building muscle, you're reducing inflammation dramatically, which then reduces water retention. And right there, you could lose 5 pounds in a month, if not even more. These are the mitochondria, so they're basically your cell's furnace. The cell's furnace in your body are located primarily in your muscles. Makes sense, right? Where do you want a furnace? Do you want a furnace in a fat cell? The fat doesn't do much. It's basically material that just keeps on piling. There's not much life in there. It's an insulator, right? So if you're building more lean muscle, then you're building more mitochondria. If you're building more mitochondria, you have more furnace. You have more furnace that needs fuel to burn. What fuel does it take if you're not giving it carbs because you're managing carbs in your diet? Well, it has to use fat to burn off to keep the engine rolling, right? So what happens is your basic metabolic rate temperature, your fasting temperature when you wake up in the morning kind of goes up, increases. You can actually monitor that over the course of the month. Take your body temperature measurement first thing as you get up, and you'll see as you're implementing this process, the temperature will go up, and you know that more the temperature goes up, the more fuel is being burned, and this fuel has to come from fat sooner or later if you're cutting down the input, the influx of carbohydrates. So this is one of the key reasons why you want to do muscle building and not so much cardio, because once you're done cardio, you're not burning off excess fuel once the exercise is completed. The magic with muscle building is once you're done destroying your fibers at the gym, then your body goes into rebuilding mode. And as it's rebuilding and creating more mitochondria, then you're raising that body temperature, you're burning more fat for fuel. And that was it. I think this is some good information to get you guys going. And as I mentioned there, I mean, this is just scratching the surface. But if you have any more questions on more details about program, let me know. Hope that's good help for you guys. Have a good one.